think? You're gonna send me to a nut house? Some doctor they're gonna get me to stop from doing what I want to do? Well, that ain't happening. Not on my watch.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about DJ Vlad. He just went to war with gamers. He let them know how he felt about people playing video games in adulthood or longer than he feels they should be playing them. And they've been ripping his ass apart. And we're going to get into a discussion piece because it got me thinking. Like he, when people were tweeting at him, he's breaking down some of his thoughts. And I'm like, okay, I see their point. I see their point over here. And it kind of has me thinking about the entire thing as a whole. So I'm going to give some commentary throughout. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into this. So Vlad says, as an adult, playing video games for long periods of time is a form of depression. If you don't believe me, ask yourself this. Think about the 100 greatest moments of your life. Do any of these moments include video games? Probably not, and this comes from a lifetime gamer. Now, when you come out with a hot statement like this and you don't expound upon it, you just say like, yo, bro, you playing 4 hours a day? That's 1/6 of your day. BetterHelp.com. Like when you're coming out and you're hitting people with that off the rip, they're going to reel back. But I'm going to get into this a little later, and I'm definitely going to be sprinkling this throughout the entire thing. People got to realize what Twitter is, bro. Like, even Vlad over the course of this, like, Vlad know what we doing. When we create a piece of content and we putting it out into the ether, you kind of got an idea, especially when we're giving our opinion, how your audience or the general audience as a whole may feel when they're watching said piece of content, right? So 100% with Vlad, and he's a mastermind at the YouTube side of things, man. If you got an interview with Vlad and somebody domes you, Vlad is going to have it up within the hour. I'm just going to keep it a bean. It is what it is with it, right? People got to realize that when they use Twitter, man, because it's like when I see it, I'm kind of thinking like, hey, man, if I'm just enjoying what I'm doing, man, hey, don't bother me none, right? That's how you got to live life sometimes, right? So let's go ahead and continue on some more. He says, well, that escalated quickly. Just to clarify, this doesn't apply to esports gamers or people who have turned gaming into a career. So if you're pretty much using that content, you getting some paperback off of it, then he's pretty much saying you're good. You're trying to create something out of it. He's talking about the dude that you waking up out of bed, scratch the ass, and we playing D2 from 1 to 12. This isn't about someone who plays a few hours a week. This is about people who consistently devote a double-digit percentage of their lives to gaming. So now let's get into some of the counter statements and what other people had to say. We got Blackie Speaks. He said, that's a stretch, Vlad. It always depends on the person in question, since there's a correlation between escapism and depression. Using video games as a tool to escape reality equal bad. Using it as a way to alleviate stress from a daily routine equals good. That's the difference. I think this is a very level-headed response because a lot of people, man, like, yo, if you stressed out, but this is how you relax, so you don't get in that U-Haul, hit the gas, throw that in fourth gear and just run into a crowd of people. I think that's what it's like. Yo, the stress reliever, fine. It's like some people using it like maybe having a cup of wine after they get off work, or some people smoking a blunt. Like it helps them just, you wind down for the day, playing a couple sessions or playing for a couple of hours. But let's continue. Annoying TV came out. He said, speak for yourself, dweeb. Gaming made me avoid doing drugs, crimes, and blocked me from a broken household I grew up in. Absolutely in my top 100 greatest moments, not to mention I made a career off gaming. Yes, to make a career off gaming, you must start doing it for free. And then Vlad responded to him saying, the guy holding the money phone in 2022 is calling me a dweeb. Annoying TV responded back to him, you're just too old to understand. Which Vlad then responds, no, you're just 5 years too late to still be doing it. Holding money to your ear, there's a disconnect. We don't call that money over here. Jay-Z 2017. Which then Annoying TV called Vlad old. He says, you're quoting Jay-Z lyrics? Holy shit, you're old. Man, the ageism and the ageist remarks make to each other on this internet shit is like, I'm not even gonna lie. It's probably because, I'm considered ancient on this right now. But it's like, damn, bro. Annoying TV 25, 26 calling dude in his 50s, 6. I don't even know how old Vlad is. I'm going to say 50s. Oh, like, when I think old myself, bro, I only really start considering niggas old when they start talking about 70. But that's not the point. And then on top of that, somebody brought this up to me, and this is a really good point. They're like, Annoying TV failed to realize while he's successful, how many people failed at the gates? How many people was going up that hill like on the beginning of Mortal Kombat Armageddon, and they getting kicked down? You got Shang Tsung up at the top. Liu Kang hit him with the He hit him with the claws and he pulling them back. He's like, you thought you were about to get some subs? No, sir. I'm pulling you down to where you're supposed to be at, nigga. And he pulls his ass down. I think Annoying TV got to realize, like, they told me what's it called? Survivorship bias or something like that. Like, nigga, you made it, but, you know, let's not be ignorant to the fact how many people fell at that gates. And a lot of people fell at them gates. I ain't even gonna front, bro. Sometimes, yeah. A lot of niggas be falling at them gates, bro. So we have Narrow. They said, I think I know where he's coming from, but it was extremely wrong executed. A form of hobby or pastime does not have to include as a result a monetary value or future impact result for it to be part of your greatest moments in your life. A video game can be as meaningful as any other activity could or should. A hobby is that, a hobby, and performing in such a hobby is not a form of depression. In fact, many use video games as a form of relief from depression, just like many may do music, read books, go outside, and meet people amongst others, which I think is a very level-headed response. So let's continue and see what else we got here. So we have another person chiming in here. Their name is Solar Vilt. They said, one of my most happy moments as a kid was playing a racing game on Xbox with my best friend. It was like Twisted Metal, but with a set track. I would put mines all over an area with a choke point and park my car a long ways for other racers. The happiness you're describing is based upon spending time with your best friend. The video game is just the backdrop. Which is, now that's an interesting perspective. Because I wouldn't necessarily say I mean, I guess it is. Like, it is the backdrop, but if y'all have that, if that thing brings y'all together and like, yo, sometimes it just amplifies it, you know what I mean? Like, if they was outside playing tag, they may not have the memory. They may not even be friends, but if they still best friends, right? That could have been the thing that's like, yo, bro, you remember we did this, and now they're sort of chasing that dragon again and again with new things that they do together. That's not how depression works on a clinical level. Plus, you can't categorize gaming all the same. Playing solo versus competitive with friends and family are all different experiences. My grandma played cards with her friends. Grandpa played board games. Only the tech has changed. And then Vlad said, your grandparents probably didn't play spades and Monopoly for 20 hours a week, month after month, like some people you probably know that play video games. Unlike traditional games, video games are designed to keep you playing hours on end. Now, hey, because people ask me time and time again, yo, you getting this game? We was just looking at something called like Forspoken or something coming out. You're like, yo, you getting this, Rob? And I'm just looking at it like, probably not, man. Because every game, all these games have turned into like live service games. I look at it like it's a subscription now. Like, yo, if you probably may have 2 subscription services. You might have like HBO Max or Disney Plus, or HBO Max and Netflix, or Netflix and Disney Plus. You get the idea, right? That's how I'm looking at the games nowadays. Because, man, if you I play D2, I play Street Fighter, and it's been months since I jumped back into Final Fantasy 14. But if you try to juggle all them games at the same time, that's a full-time fucking job, bro. That shit is impossible, man. And it feels like all the games are trying to move towards that model. Halo Infinite? What? This is the biggest offender of it. I remember when Halo Infinite dropped, right? I'm jumping into multiplayer. I'm seeing the battle pass. I'm like, oh, we got a battle pass. I remember I was praising it. I was like, oh, we got a battle pass that carries over so you can sort of like break it down and do it on your own time. That's until I played the game, right? So you playing it and it's like, yo, you got to get 3 kills with the needler. 50 XP. Well, you need 300 XP to go to the next level. And I remember I'm sitting there thinking like, maybe you pop off in the match, you do like, let's say 20 and 4 in the match, you would get more XP. Nope, it's the set standard XP. The moment I saw what that was, I was like, my brain immediately started breaking it down like it was a brick. I was like, okay, how much fun am I having? Am I having a lot of fun? And I'm like, all right, my fun skill set level is like at a 5 out of 10. I'm like, I don't know about if I'm having all that fun, right? Then I start looking at it, I'm like, man, the fun factor versus how much you got to grind, this is not worth it. Turned it off, turned D2 back on. The battle pass stuff went from like, oh, that's cool, they got a battle pass on that, to now I get a little scared, man. I start feeling like I'm hearing gunshots and shit when I hear battle pass. They say battle pass, and I start looking around. They like, yo, you good? My eyes get all big. They like, you good, Rob? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I don't know if I'm getting this one no more, man. Got a battle pass on that hoe now. Beg to differ. Grandma's weekly card parties were long and epic, and we played around the table almost every night. It's good to think about how you spend your time and maintain a healthy balance. But too much video games equal depression is just a fundamentally flawed view. I play most days for about 6 hours. Some of my most memorable moments are from playing with friends. You're wrong. So if you sleep for 6 hours a day, A third of your waking life is spent in the virtual world playing video games? If you don't see why this is a very, very, very serious problem, I don't know what to tell you. Then we have Teddy FPL chimed in. People know you're right about this, and that's why they're angry. A part of them understands they are wasting their precious lives. It's important to have downtime and comfort. If that comfort starts to take up all your time, you have a problem. Would you say the same thing of a person who spends long periods of time reading or another hobby? I don't see large portions of the population consistently spending 20 hours a week reading like you often see with video games. And if we're talking about nonfiction books, there's a level of learning that you get after finishing a book that you don't get with a video game. I can't stand reading fiction, bro. I've been reading nonfiction stuff. I've been reading, like, I love me some Robert Greene because he takes history and then he ties it into like a concept. I kind of like looking at it as a history book low-key because it makes me interested in the topic, and I'm like, okay, if I want to read more about Pericles, I'm like, okay, I have a basis of what happened with Pericles' life, and I can tie that in. Now I'm gonna be real. I ain't even gonna front, bro. With video games, man, sometimes I'm just not into the story, man. I'm like, yo, show me the gameplay. When I see a nice trailer, I'm like, yeah, that's nice. But where's the gameplay at? Like, somebody was asking me about this cowboy game. It's like, I don't even know. It looked like some Gears of War shit. The dude is pulling zombies and he's punching them and he's shooting this like rifle type thing. I remember before we got to the gameplay, I'm like skipping 15. I'm like, yo, I don't give a fuck about this story. I don't give a fuck about no cowboy shit unless it's some Westworld shit, man. If it ain't the man in black up there doming people, hey, I'm good off of it. Where the gameplay at? And then when I got to the gameplay, I remember I watched the gameplay for about 5-6 minutes. And I'm just like, yeah. You see the Lies of P, which is this new Sekiro Bloodborne style game. And I'm looking at it and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I experienced that loop back in 2015 with Bloodborne, which I really been playing that loop since 2009 with Demon Souls. I'll just wait till they put Bloodborne on PC to experience that loop once again. Because I try to do it through the little PSN Sony live service thing. That just don't feel too good. So I'll just wait till they put it on. And I get From Software and Sony another 50-60 experience that loop again. But it's the one thing when I be seeing like Soul style games or games that are like heavily influenced by the Souls series, I ain't gonna say it takes me out of it, but I just look at it and I'm like, all right, I know what the premise is. It's a beautiful game because they're all beautiful. They all have a beautiful world. It's like it doesn't really give you the story right away. You kind of have to get into those lore segments of it to understand what is happening here and what's happening there. And it may give you a little more story, like the Wukong game where you playing as the monkey nigga. That kind of looked like it may give you a little more story than the average one, but I don't necessarily know for sure. But I will admit, man, the loops and stuff has messed me up. Like, people, like, for example, all right, y'all know I love me some D2. King's Fall came out, and people like, yo, Rob, Jalo's Bane, you gotta get that Jalo's Bane. It's hitting different. I'm kind of looking at it like, man, I mean, do I? Like, do you really need that thing, man? Because if you got Palindrome, you know, Palindrome is still really good. Do you need Jalo's Bane? I'm looking at the perks on it and I'm like, yeah, it's craftable, but I just don't care to get it, man. I don't care to get it. That's just, and that ties back into when we talk about the games of service thing and that feeling of FOMO. It's so good. They good at it. I'm looking around. I'm kind of like, this is one of those completionist things, which I'm not a completionist. I think the last game I did 100% on was Spider-Man. And I didn't even do the 100% on the DLCs of it. I did the base PS4 game, not the re-release on PC, the base PS4 game, and I was just like, man, that was the last time because that was some heat rock, man. It's been a little minute. I feel like when you go without a minute without Spider-Man, you gotta go ahead, hey, hit me. I want the good shit. Like, you know, they done brought out the coke, and as a fiend, the eyes light up. It's time. Oh, it's time to get high. Like, it's one of those. So it's just, I don't know about that one. Anyways, but I do agree with that. I feel like the knowledge you get from books, I feel like more people should read. I'm telling people I talk to, I'm like, yo, you should check this book out. And man, niggas real back. They act like I'm proposing to them. Like, yo, man, you need some head. You know, I can do that for you. Like, they act like I'm doing that when I suggest the book to them, bro. I'm like, hey, you check that out. One of my homies like, he mad at me when I asked him to read. I said, yo, you should read a book. Then he trying to talk to me about yo, come back to MGO. Every day I ask him, I said, how many hours you got on that? How many hours you got on MGO now? He like 269. I said, bro, you read this book, I jump back on MGO and play. And he ain't asked me to play no MGO since. I'm sorry. So, Johanna's response to that was, do you regularly engage with the writing community? I think you'll be surprised to learn that many of us spend that much time reading a week. Speaking of learning from video games, learning isn't just facts or concepts. It's a social, emotional, which all adults benefit from. I messed up that last little part there. Excuse me, man. Oh, man. Voice box giving out on Rob a little bit, but we're going to bring it back. He says, as an adult who suffers from depression and still suffers from acute anxiety, you completely have the wrong end of the stick. Sure, no memorable moments in my life come from video games. However, playing video games has helped ease my mind during the hardest of times. As soon as you put down the controller, the hardest of times are still right there at your doorstep. Man, Vlad went on CMB mode with him. He said, I see your point, I hear your point, but you can't run away from this problem. It's right there at the doorstep. To Tom's point, let me chime in with Tom, right? Because there are certain games that I feel like you go through the ugly phase of the game, you break through it, and I feel like when you do that one hard thing, you can do anything. Like, I feel like if you get good at a fighting game, man, nothing else should be really difficult to you. Because when you take every concept and think about it in the realms of a fighting game, it makes breaking down whatever you're doing that much easier. So I get where he's coming from with that shit in reference to like especially with learning something, like, because I always tell people, you can't, if you playing a fighting game and you jump in and you just gonna do 10 hours today and then 3 weeks from now another 10 hours, you're not really gonna improve all that much. If you break that thing down to like an hour playing, maybe 30, 45 minutes of doing like maybe labbing and you doing a couple matches, and then think about, okay, really think about when you off the game, like, damn, what pissed me off, man? What did that person do in the L that just got me laying in bed doing one of these? Like, you know, they got to tie you to the bed because you just feel so irritated by that L you got. And how can I make sure that shit never happens again? Tom's response to Vlad was, so what? The moment of escape still puts me in a better frame of mind to deal with those hardest of times when I put the controller down. It's only a problem if video games stop you from being productive or take over your life, which is true. By the way, most famous artists were depressed and were poor and still pour hours into painting, but I guess they let life pass them, I guess. And then Vlad said a painter is producing art, a gamer produces nothing. I will agree with Vlad on that one in terms of the art thing. You don't have to be creating some content to enjoy the game, right? And it's ridiculous of people to ask people like, yo, you just playing the game? You ain't creating no content? Waste of time. Like, that just he might not have no interest in that, and this is what he uses to wind down. But I'm not going to sit here and say like, yo, if you got really potent at a game, like if you just get whatever it is that you get super potent at, I wouldn't even say that's on the same level as art. Now, could one say like, yo, Kojima created something and he created some art? Then there's a whole bunch of discussions of that on YouTube. I don't even know where to start with, are video games considered art? But I think the dude playing the coded game, he's moving the characters around, I would not say that that's on the same level as an artist. I would say that maybe within the community, people can see his skill and be inspired, like, yo, that nigga's so potent at it. Whoo wee. I want to get better. I think it can invoke that same response out of an individual, but creating the same thing, nah. Because it's like, if you create a piece of art that is here years later, there's always that piece of you here. If you just get super potent and we know like, hey, yo, man, Jocko 505, hey, that boy nasty with the messenger and PvP. We gonna eventually forget Jocko's 505. We may be like 10 years late down the road, there's gonna be a couple people that's like, yo, Jocko's 505 was a prom back in D2. But if you on D4, then the kids that's playing D4 may not know who Jocko's 505 is or give 3 fucks who Jocko's 505 is, right? Like, for real. But anyways, let's continue on. For everyone in the comments claiming some sort of greatest moments in their life came from gaming, you are truly letting life pass you by. 5 million impressions and counting? This tweet really struck a nerve. And then he did it again. Well, we just hit 10 million impressions on this tweet. I'm just as surprised as anyone. I don't think Vlad is surprised at all, if we're being completely honest here. Face swag, he said, L. I met some of the closest friends through video games. Winning $100,000 live in front of 200,000 viewers is definitely up there. And Vlad gave him a W. He said, gaming is your career. You're playing towards a monetary goal. Your friends are partially your coworkers. Your situation doesn't apply to my statement. Which, that's another thing I think some people are talking about. I think Vlad is just talking about gaming in excess. I think if you're out here, you're creating some content behind it, or you're somehow using it to make some money, and that comes in very different forms. You don't have to create content. I know people, I don't know if you like to say this anymore, but in like D2, there's plenty of people that did not create no content that would, if you didn't feel like doing some PvE thing, you could pay a dude $20 to $60 and he jumps on your account and just does it for you. And and they was getting bags off of it before Bungie put a hard stop to it and they started banning people. I'm sure that community still exists. Like, you can never truly ban something. It just goes underground. So it's like, if there's a bag there to be made, people are going to make it. So we got some more. We got Abner. He says, do you ever read a book, listen to music, or watch a movie? Of course I do. I do all of these in moderation, as well as playing video games. I just responded to a tweet of someone who plays video games 6 hours a day, every day. That's 1/3 of his waking life. That doesn't really happen with books, movies, or music. I feel like music that can happen very easily with. Movies is weird, man. Movies is like, I feel like I just not watching too many movies, man. It's hard to watch shit lately, man. Like, I'll watch it and I just find myself pausing or just turning it off, man. Like, I gotta be in a real bored state. I can watch a movie, and I'm watching movies right now in like 30-minute segments, and then I take a break and I'm like, all right, I'll go watch 30 more minutes of this like tomorrow or something. But one thing for me that I have been reading and access, I think I don't know. I think reading is really enjoyable. This is the book I'm reading right now, but I will say I have been spending more time reading, just because, again, it's fun to just learn something about the past. It's just fun to see a different perspective, and I don't got to watch a movie or something to sit there and watch. I'm like, all right, this scene going on too long, you skip. I just want to read it, man. I can read at my own pace. I can read fast. I'm like, I can read slow. I'm like, let me think about that. Let me reread the page. I don't know, man. It feels like my brain is working more when I'm reading a book versus watching or listening to something lately. That feels really crazy to say. I don't know if that's crazy to say, but that's just how a brother feels. Like, it's more cognitively stimulating to do that. So we have Pearlescent Moon. They said, in my opinion, regardless of whether one has or has not had one or more of their 100 greatest moments in gaming, it doesn't mean their hobby is a form of depression. I agree. It can be an escape for some, but investing time into enjoyment does not mean it's based off that. But it's not a hobby for you. You've turned it into a business. I checked out your YouTube channel and you get significant revenue by recording yourself playing games. You're not escaping anything because you have a purpose to make money from it. Totally different scenario. Very good counterpoint. Let's see what they said to that. I went full-time YouTube 1 year ago. I've been playing video games since I was in single digits and now 26. It's a hobby for me and always will be, alongside of it being my work too. I play one game for work and others are for enjoyment. You're looking at things at a surface level. Now, I definitely have heard the playing games like for yourself for enjoyment. I have a homie that does that with Monster Hunter. Like, he plays other stuff if he has to do it for content when he wants to do some content, but the thing he just like to enjoy on his own, him sitting back and his blunt is playing Monster Hunter. That's I don't understand it. I don't want to play no Monster Hunter, but hey, that's his thing. All right. So now we got the mind of HY. Hello, Yassine. He said, true, but all the angry gamers will try to cope with angry responses instead of just scrolling past his tweet if it doesn't apply. And I'm telling y'all, I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to say this at the end of every video. Delete Twitter. Get off there. It's pointless, bro. Like, it's pointless. Because there was somebody in their house hot off this, bro. And I'm going to be real with you. It ain't worth it being hot off of it. It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it. I'm telling you, you sitting there, you got the corners of your eyes, you starting to see black, like you tunnel vision out, that chest get tight. You start thinking like, man, I got a sock and I got some rocks. Let me combine the two. Let me get on my Joe. It's time to craft something up. Like, it's pointless, man. It's pointless. I cannot stress that enough, man. I feel like sometimes on this internet stuff, I feel like people want to be angry, man. Like, it is so easy to control what you take in so that shit doesn't affect this, that I'm looking around the room like, golly. It's kind of messed up. I feel like I gotta take stuff in that I don't like sometimes to curate that content, as they say, right? But for the most part, man, when I be watching stuff in my free time, I be like this. This is me watching something. I'm looking to filter. I'm like, I be itching for it. I be feeling like the Punisher in the courtroom. I just be itching. I want to filter the content out so bad, man. So I just be watching it like this. I'm like, man, who say something I don't like, boy, I'm up out of here. Like, so that's it. That's it. That's the end of this. DJ Vlad has gone to war with gamers. A lot of people, a lot of different opinions. I think Vlad 100% knew. When you start labeling niggas, bro, when you throw the label on somebody like, yo, it's gonna make the dude, there's probably a dude 4 or 5 hours into his play session that got the tweet and it made him think about the last 5 and he like, nah, I gotta let Vlad know how I feel. So, but I don't know. I thought it was a good dialogue. Like, I feel like sometimes with arguments like these online, people go into it to win. And this is not something that's winnable because Vlad is not going to see the dude that's not creating anything from it, that's not earning $1 from it, as somebody that is a good investment of time. He's just not. I like to say CMB one player mode. He's not changing his perspective on it. But I do think it brings up an interesting dialogue. And then on top of it, when you start getting into escapism and depression and all that, I don't know. It's a lot to unpack. I look forward to reading your comments in the comment section below. Be sure to give the video a like now. Be sure to check out the Patreon. I don't have social media for you to follow me. With that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Everybody have a great day, and I will talk to you guys soon.